Do you ever wonder if you are qualified to write or speak or create the content around the passion topic that you have in your heart? Well, welcome to the club. Imposter syndrome is a real struggle. So, today we are going to talk about how to overcome imposter syndrome so that you can focus on creating the content that is inside of you and getting it out to this world. Let's jump into it. Hello, welcome to the All Small Productivity Podcast with Amber Davis and my awesome co-side host over here, Logan Rodman.
Hello.
Woohoo! Logan Quality Rodman,
Oh my
LQR.
goodness, this is gonna
She's
be like the new thing.
amazing.
I
It
love it.
is the new
Thank you.
thing. So I gave you that name like a couple of episodes ago. I
Yeah,
thought it was
but you
cute.
know what, Amber, it's you who's quality. It's
Oh
good.
my
It's
goodness,
so
you're
good.
so nice.
Yes.
So Logan is amazing at all the things social media. She upped my level on social media. She's awesome at social media. So
Well, thank you.
thank
And
you.
speaking of social media, we would love to connect with you there.
Oh
So
yes.
if you're on YouTube, wherever you're listening to this podcast, Instagram, LinkedIn, all of these links to our social medias will be linked in the show notes. We'd love to connect with you and comment wherever you are listening from. And also head to amberindavis.com. You can connect with Amber directly there. And speaking of her website, she's got something fun for you.
Yes. So if you go to amberindavis.com, I want to be able to help you plan out your week so that you can be able to create that content and get it out of you and into this world. So I have a free teaching called The Best Way to Plan Your Week, along with a guide and checklist that helps you to be able to do that. All right. So we're
So
going to
good.
get started
Yes.
today, and we are talking about imposter syndrome today.
Oh, here we go.
Woohoo!
Because we
And
all feel this.
yes, and this is that whole mentality of thinking that you are not qualified
Mhm.
to be able to do the thing. And I say you, me, all of us
Yes.
can have that feeling. But before we jump into imposter syndrome, we always
Okay.
like to do something fun and just have some question and answers
Okay.
on this. And
Yes.
so I was sharing with Logan that I wrote down something fun. So
Some fun questions here.
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
This first question is funny because I don't have an answer for this.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
who is your favorite famous detective?
Okay.
This shows you what Amber truly loves.
Okay, this is really funny because this is like a reoccurring thing about entertainment with me and what I
Yes.
watch and what I
This is the
so
theme.
I don't really like to watch a lot of movies,
Mhm.
but I like true stories and things like that. But I don't
Okay.
like true crime stories because I'm
Sure.
super sensitive. Like I'm over the top
I
sensitive
am too.
to
I am
it.
too, truly.
And there's nothing like this is not like some sin or ditch or something that people
Yeah.
get into where they can't watch, detective movies.
Right.
This is a personal weight for me that I
For
can't
sure.
watch the opening scene of any of these detective movies where they show how the person dies.
Oh yeah. For sure. Same.
So, not but, because I can't do that.
Yeah.
I really like two shows that I think one is really funny and the other one's super clever. But Monk, have you ever heard of Monk?
I have. I've never watched it.
So funny.
Okay.
Like he's so clever. So he's a detective.
Okay, that's entertainment.
It is entertainment.
Yeah.
See, I was like, okay,
You do.
I
You
do.
do like
I do.
entertainment.
There's some things that I do like. And so I do like watching Monk,
Mhm.
but I always have to go in another room when they do the opening scene.
Okay. That
And I
makes
can't
sense.
even hear it. Like if it's the bathroom that I go into, I have to hit the fan.
Oh
I
yeah.
cannot hear the person dying or being stabbed or
For
shot or
sure.
whatever. And so then I come back in and my husband tells me, this is what happened.
Oh, so you can
She
know what
died of it.
happened. You just
Oh
can't
yeah,
watch
I
it.
just can't
Okay.
see it. And then because you have to know what happened in order to
get
know
it.
how he's going to solve it.
Right. That makes sense.
So yeah, like Monk. So that's really funny. And then there's this other funny show that we've watched. And we just think it's hilarious, but it's called Psych. I don't know if you've ever seen
I feel
it.
like that sounds familiar, but
It
I've
was
never
on
seen it.
TBS
Mhm.
and it's comedy
Mhm.
and the writing in it is phenomenal as far as like banter between the characters.
Okay.
It's comedy. And so it's like TV 14, I think.
Oh, great.
And so both of these shows are pretty appropriate. I mean, there's
Yeah.
some scenes I think in Psych that we skipped, but
Sure.
overall, I mean, it's so funny. So
Yeah.
yeah, I would say
Okay, I'm gonna
those
have
are
to
the
look at
two.
that one.
Yeah, but
So
they're
I'm
funny.
thinking like famous detective, like Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, I wasn't even thinking.
Yeah, that's like where
Yeah,
my brain. But I don't
that's
really
true.
watch anything like that.
So
So
Agatha Christie,
I don't
because
even
you
know who
like to
that
read,
is.
right? You're a reader. You like
Yeah, but I don't know who that is. I don't
so
really.
Agatha Christie. She wrote. My daughter likes Agatha.
Hmm.
Well, she used to. I don't know if she still, but she used to read
Hmm.
Agatha Christie. It was like um, The Murder on the Orient Express. She
Okay,
wrote
that sounds
that.
familiar.
She
Yeah.
wrote Murder on the Nile. A lot of murder on stuff.
Okay, so yeah, I'm like really sensitive to. My husband would love it. He
Yeah.
loves like all of those like true crime, like
But
all of it. Yeah.
she wrote years ago, like what, in the 50s, maybe the 40s. So
Oh, okay. So it wouldn't be
yeah,
as
so
graphic.
it's not
Yeah.
nearly as graphic. In fact, Sherlock Holmes, like his stuff is way more graphic.
Never even read it.
Yeah.
That's just I just knew the
His
name.
stuff's
Yeah.
pretty dark.
Really?
Like the
Oh,
books and
okay.
stuff are
So
pretty dark.
probably not gonna. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna go down that
But I
path.
mean but the character,
Yeah.
when you think of the character, you don't think of it being that dark.
Okay. All
So
right. Well,
yeah.
if you're listening, which you clearly are if you're hearing me say this,
Right. We hope
wherever
you're listening.
drop in the comments and tell us who your favorite detective is. That's funny. I'm like,
That is
if
funny.
you're listening right
Right.
now,
Wake up.
yeah,
We're
hello,
talking.
we're here. That's good.
That's
Okay.
funny.
Have you ever called someone on the phone pretending to be someone else?
Have I? I think I've
I
done
mean, I
this
probably
before.
did that. Like, is it like in middle
But
school?
yeah, I think I've done this before. But I was trying to remember if I have ever like on purpose did that.
Yeah,
Seems like when you're like in high school or junior high
for
maybe,
sure.
where you like are trying to see if Billy likes Sally and
For
you
sure. You're
like,
being, oh,
call and you're
yeah.
like, this is
That's silly.
this is somebody else and I'm like not I'm
Yeah.
doing this thing with my hand like I'm talking like I'm a middle
Yeah.
schooler. Like this is how you talk when you're middle school. So
That is
yeah.
how you talk. I feel like when you're in
Yeah.
middle school.
So I
It's
think
good.
I did that, like,
I think we've
do
all
that.
maybe done that.
Right.
I can't like recall a time in my adult life that I've done this.
Right. Yeah, I don't
No.
know. It seems like my husband has done this multiple times.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I just hit our table.
Oh, that's great.
Have you ever dressed up like someone and people didn't know it was you?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. Well,
Have
yeah,
done
you
that.
do this. You guys do skits and
Oh,
stuff.
yeah. So there's skits. So my husband and I do sketch comedy for
Mhm.
our church, and then we also do it for DADCHAVIS Productions. And we're a reoccurring old couple.
Yes.
But the worst is when people at church come up to me and like, "Oh, you're the old lady in the
Okay.
videos." Because in the videos, I'm supposed to be like 80,
Oh yeah.
and
Oh yeah.
I'm not
I mean,
80.
you guys do such a good job with
So,
your makeup. You don't look like that in real life.
well,
I
that's
just want
nice.
to reassure you.
We have went out driving and like waving at people, like, yeah.
Dressed like that?
Oh yeah, I've been to
that's
the grocery
great.
store, like, yeah. Because I mean, after a shoot, I've got to like
You
get
gotta
my
do
stuff.
your
I got to
normal
do my life,
day.
and I
I get
sometimes
it.
forget.
Yeah.
So
I have a fun story with this actually.
okay,
When I was in college, I worked at Sonic I was a cosmetologist, so through hair store, and I worked at Sonic, and they needed someone for the summer to go to the movie theater and dress up as the Tater Tot. And so
what?
I have a picture of it, and maybe we'll share it on social media or
Oh
something.
my goodness, I want to see
Of
this
me
picture.
dressed as the Tater Tot from Sonic, and I would see all of my friends, and of course, as a Tater Tot, I'm not speaking, I'm just waving, and like that big costume.
Did they know it was you?
No, nobody ever knew it was me. The only person that knows is my mom.
They still didn't know it was you?
Yeah,
Like
no, I
later on, you didn't tell
never,
your best friend that you were a
absolutely
tater
not.
tot?
No, never
That's
shared that. Yeah,
hilarious.
it was fun. That was a fun time to
And
see
you were,
people.
where were you again?
I was at the movie theater, like
At
the
the
local movie
movie
theater, because they
theater.
would do like a summer thing for kids, and I would go hand out coupons to Sonic, and as a big tater tot.
That is so funny.
And it's
I'm
even
just
better now
have a
because my
visual
daughter is like terrified
of tater tots.
no, but of those costumes, like the Easter bunny
Oh
runs
yeah,
screaming the other way, like
yeah.
all of like the weird costumes.
Right.
So she would have been terrified of
She
me.
would
But
never eat a tater tot again if her mom
never
was
eat a
dressed up
tater
as a
tot.
tater
Oh my
tot.
goodness, we show her the picture, but it's fun.
That's
Yeah, it's
funny.
good. So that's a fun story.
Oh
But
yeah, I
so
have.
I was
Yeah,
like an imposter
yeah.
as a tater tot.
You're a tater-poster.
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 It's just so good. But how do we overcome the Tator-Poster
The
syndrome?
tater-poster. That is just such a fun thing. I love it.
It's a fun
That's
story.
so. That
It's
is a
good.
fun story. That's crazy. Yeah. How do we overcome the imposter syndrome? It's true. This is a real thing. And I'm
Mhm.
glad we're talking about it because we're joking and stuff, but it can be serious for people because
Yes.
it's like it's debilitating
For
for
sure.
people because we think that we're not qualified or that we can't do it. And I really want to be able to encourage people with some things that I believe that the things that I'm going to share
Yeah.
are going to help break through some of this so that it's like practical stuff that you
Mhm.
can really like wrap your head around and be like, you know what? I can I I can change my mind. I can see it differently now
Yes.
that I'm going to break through
Mhm.
and that it's going to help people. So
That's good.
the first thing that I want to talk about is what it is.
Mhm.
So imposter syndrome is that feeling of feeling like what people call like a poser. I remember
Yeah.
somebody told me, somebody that I look up to and somebody that I love had just said in passing, like joking to me about something that, oh, you're just a poser.
Mm.
And I remember those words just really penetrated my heart. Like
Yeah.
at first I was just like, oh yeah, I shook it off or whatever. And then later those words just kept coming back to me. Every
Mm.
time that I would go to do something, I would hear that voice saying, you're a poser.
Wow.
And I thought, how much power does that have that trying to like just penetrate
Yeah, like
through my
attack your
identity?
identity. Mhm.
Hmm. And that whole feeling of feeling like, um, that somebody's gonna find out that you're not as qualified as you are. That
Mm,
is like the
yeah.
thing. It's not even just knowing that thinking that you're a phony, but it's also that feeling of thinking somebody's gonna find out
Right.
that I'm not as qualified as I'm supposed to be doing
Yeah.
this. And I heard a famous comedian the other day. I've heard multiple because I like watching different comedians. And this famous comedian had said that they went out into a stadium. It was packed and filled in the stadium. And they're like, man, who am I to be doing this?
Yeah.
Like, what?
Mm.
Why did these people pay these tickets to come see me?
Yeah.
And it's one thing to have humility, but it's another thing when it goes to the level of you feel like you're an imposter.
Right.
And that's just, it's gross, it's yucky, it's
Mhm. It's
debilitating,
true.
it's horrible, and I can't stand it. And
Yeah.
the cousins to imposter syndrome are perfectionism
Mhm.
because you think everything's got to be
Just
perfect
right. Mhm.
in order for me to share my content,
Mhm.
or, and we're talking about in the realm of content creation, right?
Right, right.
So in order to share your content, you think, okay, it's got to be perfect. Like, you know, we're going to continue to do this podcast. And as we grow, we're going to get better equipment. We're
Right.
going to get, better systems, better software,
Mhm.
different things. But if you wait until you have everything, you're never going to start because you're
Right.
never going to have everything.
Right. That's true.
And so it's that perfectionism is that cousin. Another cousin is just pride,
Mhm.
is that you think that, that pride comes in where you think that, I can't, um I think that I am not worthy enough. Let me say it like this, is that um there's one thing to be humble,
Mhm.
but then you can get in a ditch in that area and be so humble that you think that you're not worthy to share what problem that you can solve for people.
Mhm. Like the simplicity of it.
Right. And then
Mhm.
that pride comes where you think that, that sounds weird, but the humility, being so self-deprecating,
Mhm.
can be prideful
Right.
because you're hiding behind the pride of that I'm not going to, I don't want to be the showboater. I don't want to be the person out
Mm.
front. I don't want to
Mhm.
do that. But then at the same time, it's like you're almost like owning this space of like, I'm too good to be that
Right.
person. I'm going
Right.
to show you how, some people call it like high and mighty. I'm too high and
Mhm.
mighty to do that thing, or
Mhm.
um, I guess that would be the best way to put it. But that can be a pride
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
And then fear is the other
Mm.
cousin. It's just, you're just afraid. You're
Yeah.
afraid to share. You're afraid to fail.
Right.
You're afraid to mess up on YouTube
Right.
or on on a reel or whatever.
Mhm.
And that's, I, as an author, I published my book a few years back. And one of the things that I read, Jerry Jenkins, he wrote the Left Behind series.
Mhm. Mhm.
And he has a great book called Writing for the Soul, which
Mhm.
is a nonfiction book. Of course, I
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
nonfiction.
Yes.
But he's known for all these other
Yeah.
books, and I read the nonfiction book by
Oh,
him.
right.
Right. So, but he wrote this book called Writing for the Soul. And one of the things is he said that every book that has ever been printed has a typo in it.
Mhm.
And it freed me up to be like, well, then I don't have to be afraid of publishing something that might have a mistake,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Our phones, iPhone wouldn't exist if they didn't release it without mistakes. They
Right.
intentionally release it with mistakes so that then they know that they're going to have the 2.5 version and the
Mhm.
3.0 version and the next version and the
Right.
next version. So if they waited, we would never have the iPhone.
Yeah.
So that fear of that I'm going to release something that's not perfect,
Mhm.
or that pride of thinking that, you know what, I'm just going to stay in this safe space
Yeah.
and not fail in front of people,
Yeah.
but be willing to be able to fail. So those are some of the cousins that I thought to share about imposter syndrome. But from imposter syndrome itself, I've got three things that I want to share. And they're that here's our weapons. Imposter syndrome is an ongoing battle, and your weapons against it are three things
Mhm.
that I want to share. The first weapon against imposter syndrome is God.
Yeah.
So I truly believe that we are all created by God to be creative,
Mhm.
that He's designed us to be create and solve problems on this planet.
Yeah.
And we we cannot minimize the problems that we're solving or maximize the problems that we're solving.
Mhm.
Some of the problems may appear to be small and some may appear to be big, but a problem is a problem. And if you're solving it for somebody, that's a big win in their life.
Yeah.
So God created us to be that creative. And God is God
Mhm.
and He created us, but we're not God.
Right.
So we're going to fall short.
Right.
We're going to fail.
Right.
We're going to make mistakes. And so we've got to know that the weapon against that imposter syndrome, which I believe in God, and I believe that there's a devil, that
Mhm.
there's evil in this world.
For sure.
And I believe that the devil and evil of this world want to knock us off of the plans that God has for us.
Yeah.
And what better way to do that than to convince us that we are a poser, that we're not qualified
Right.
to share. We're not qualified to share the gifts that God gave us.
Yeah.
So it's like God gives us the gifts to imperfect vessels
Mhm.
like you and like me.
Yeah.
We're not perfect. But He trusts us enough to give us the gifts and the talents and the wisdom
Mhm.
and the passion to be able to help His people solve problems.
Right.
But the devil wants to just come in and say, well, no, you're not qualified.
Mhm.
Well, if God thinks you're qualified, of course you're qualified.
Right.
And so, and what I mean by that is that, yes, let's talk about this for a minute, the
Mhm.
real of it. There are people that will go on Everybody's Got Talent or
Mhm.
whatever. What's that show?
Sure.
I think you
America's Got Talent.
America's Got Talent, right? And they'll go on and they'll be like in like the audition to get on the stage,
Right. Right.
right?
Right.
And some of these people can't sing. They're
Yeah.
horrible.
Sure.
And their mom told them that they could sing, or like some, best friend told them they can sing and they can't sing.
Yeah.
And so there's a balance between if you've got a passion and you've got talent.
Mhm.
And so I say to start small. Start small, go all small for big productivity. Start small and see if you solved a problem through wisdom that God's given you in your life, and
Mhm.
you've seen a big transformation that has
Yeah.
happened in your life, and then you share that with other people and you see that it's helping them. That's where you start.
That's good.
On the last episode, we talked about how if there's 5 people following you, if those 5 people were in your living room, how would you impact those people?
Right.
Right? So be okay with the 2 or 1 person that's in
Mhm.
your life that you're helping right now.
Right.
Help those people, and then from that, be like, "Wow, I'm getting I'm pretty good at this."
Yeah.
Like I'm helping them. I've seen an impact.
That's good.
And then you take it to a bigger audience. You take it to, and ask them for feedback. Yes,
Mhm.
this has really helped me a lot.
Yeah.
And that's exactly how I started with podcasting or writing or coaching. I did in training development in the business world. I did that in business.
Mhm.
But then when I stepped out and started doing that, I just did it for 1 or 2 people at a time.
Yeah.
And then it turned into a blog, and then it
Mhm.
turned into a book, and then it turned into this podcast,
Mhm.
and then it's turned into other things.
Yeah.
And so you start small. That's how you can. So God will give you this We know that he's God and he's given us these gifts and talents.
Mhm.
So use them.
Yeah.
Get out there and use them.
Yeah.
And then see what happens with that.
Yeah. And the more you use it, the more he'll equip you too.
It's true.
Mhm.
And the more people he'll bring
Yes.
because you're faithful with the little.
Yes.
You're faithful going all small with the audience that you have in
That's
front of you.
right.
So God, number one, is a weapon um, that is against that imposter syndrome. And I don't mean use God as a weapon, but just know that he's the power behind helping you break through
Right.
that.
Yes.
Number two is know that you are further along than some,
Mhm.
so help them.
Right.
So don't try to help. That's what I guess. Let me rephrase this by saying that if you look and if I look, there are people on this planet that are doing what I'm doing at a higher, greater level than I'm doing it.
Sure.
They're best-selling authors on the New York Times, or they're reaching a bigger audience, or
Mhm.
they're talking on bigger stages than I'm
Right.
on. That doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's not about, in fact, the fact that there are people solving the problem that you're solving,
Mhm.
that you're helping people solve, tells you that there's a market and an audience for it.
Right.
So, number one, if there was nobody talking about what you're talking about, more than likely there's not a market for it.
Sure.
And that's just marketing 101.
Right.
And so be encouraged by the fact that there is people out there
Mhm.
that are needing this problem solved
Yeah.
and that there's people already doing it.
This might be a whole nother topic for another show, but do you believe in like market saturation?
I believe in market saturation when it comes to not using a uniqueness around that product.
Right.
We are designed by God to be unique.
Yeah.
So I believe that we can solve the problem for people, but we do it in a unique way.
Yes.
If you don't do it in a unique way, yes, there will be market saturation.
Right.
And so it's like, I think about this because, we do like video production stuff.
Mhm.
So, like the movies where they'll make a movie and then in the same year there'll be like 2 or 3 movies that are exactly the same
Mhm.
script with different actors.
It's like Hallmark.
Yeah, it is Hallmark. That was a whole nother topic because I'm not a big Hallmark fan. But do you watch Hallmark? Okay, so yeah, I'm not like
I like
that's just
mindless
not.
entertainment. Apparently,
Right,
you like
right.
to really learn, and I just need something that I don't think about. I
Yes.
know how the story ends.
Yes. The good part about Hallmark that it is sweet
Mhm.
and it is I
Clean.
guess mindless,
Yeah. Yeah.
but clean. Like it's predictable and it's
Yes.
comforting because it's
Yes.
predictable. So I get that. But
But it's the same.
but it's the same. However, that what I mean is like there was a movie called Turner and Hooch
Okay.
back in the 90s and it's Tom Hanks and he's a police officer and
Mhm.
he's got he inherits from it's a detective movie. Maybe that's why I watched
Yeah.
it. But he inherits this dog and he
Mhm.
becomes like his partner.
Okay.
And in the exact same year, there was another movie and I can't remember the name of that movie. K9. I'm pretty sure it was K9.
Okay.
And it was
Someone's gonna tell us
Jim
in the comments.
Belushi. Somebody is going to tell
Yeah.
us. It's Jim Belushi, and this exact same script. He inherits a dog. He's a police officer, inherits a
Oh,
dog.
that's weird.
Same exact script,
Okay.
like but different actors.
Yeah.
And there's another movie called Freaky Friday
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
they did, and they've done this movie several times.
Yes.
But then there's a whole nother movie called Vice Versa that
Yes.
came out in the same year that the Freaky Friday with
Lindsay Lohan, right?
Lindsay Lohan. I think this was the other one before that. People in the comments will be
Yeah,
commenting
they're
about
gonna
it.
tell us.
But it's the same kind of thing. It's where that is saturation.
Mhm.
When you've got the same exact thing, you're trying to do the same exact thing and there's no uniqueness to it.
Yeah.
I think that is where you deal with market
Okay,
saturation.
that makes sense.
So
Mhm.
that's why be encouraged that that God has made you unique.
Mhm.
And so there are creative ideas that are unique
Yeah.
and you can help to be able to use that uniqueness. That's
Mhm.
what I try to do. I try to
Yeah.
use my uniqueness about the catchphrase go all small for big productivity.
Right.
I know lots of people that I've shared this with and they're like, I never thought about it that way. going all small.
Mhm.
And there's lots of people that talk about time management and about being able to be productive
Mhm.
and be all those things. But you have a unique spin on it, and know that um, your uniqueness is real
For sure.
for
Yes.
sure. But look for the people that know that you're not trying to reach. This can free you up. So number two is this is that look for the people that are you're further along than some.
Mhm.
So help the people that you're further along
Mhm.
than they are.
Someone you're
So
just one step ahead of.
right, maybe one step. You could be 5 steps ahead of
Yeah.
them. But you don't have to compete with the people that are like, 100 steps ahead of you.
Right.
And that's really important. So
Mhm.
the people that I reach now are a lot of startups.
Yeah.
They're the ones that are starting up. They have these creative ideas, they want to create content, but they've never been able to actually put it out to the world. Like they've
Mhm.
maybe started writing in Google Docs, or maybe
Mhm.
they've jotted some ideas down, but they haven't formulated. So that's the audience that I reach out to,
Right.
are the people that are starting up, because I may not be, at a 20,000 foot level or a 60,000 foot level,
Mhm.
but I've written a blog and I've published a book
Mhm.
and I've published a podcast
Right.
and I have my own website and I go out and speak and I do these things that I may be a little bit further ahead.
Mhm.
So I'm not an expert. You don't have
Mhm.
to focus on being an expert at something.
Right.
Just what are you better at
Yeah.
a little bit more than somebody that's, behind you in that sense.
That's good.
Because then what happens, and I got to lean into the mic here,
Yeah.
but what happens is that, oh, I just have so much encouragement here that I want to
Yeah.
get out to people, because the thing about that is that know that the way that I see it is that if you're 100 steps ahead of somebody, you can't stretch to reach them.
Mm.
But if you're 5 steps ahead of somebody, you can grab their hand and pull them up.
Oh, that's good.
And that's just something that is on my heart that just kind of came to me right now as we're shooting this. But if you're, it's okay.
Yeah.
So there's somebody that is close enough to you that you can really touch.
Yeah.
So there's a reason for that. I
Yeah.
believe that God put these people in your life to
Yeah.
be able to help. And so help the people that are close to you, that are just maybe just need a little bit of oomph to get to
Mhm.
where you are.
That's so good,
That
Amber.
makes
Mhm.
sense. So, and then number three weapon that can break through imposter syndrome is to grow.
Mhm.
You've got to personally grow. You've got to intentionally grow. You've got to know that I have a responsibility now. If I reach out to these people, I have a responsibility to
Mhm.
you. I have a responsibility to the people listening to this podcast or
Yeah.
watching this, that they're watching me now.
Mhm.
They're listening. I have built trust with these people to know that, hey, Amber's going to help me. She cares, and she's going to help me to be able to create this content that I need to create. But then my responsibility is that I've got to grow,
Mhm.
because if I am 10 steps ahead of these people to help them grow,
Mhm.
I need to continue to be 10 steps so that they can then continue to take those steps.
Right.
But if I stagnate and stop, it's that then I'm not doing a service to the people
Right.
that are following me. So it's really important to grow. So nobody owes you anything but love.
Mhm.
Right? Love the people I wrote this down, love the people you help so much that you are willing to develop the gifts that God has given you.
Mhm. So
So
good.
those are the weapons that can be, and there's so much more to that. And I know that these might not be things that are like, might not seem practical, but if there really are.
Yeah.
Because if you think that God can help me. He's God and I'm not perfect, but He
Mhm.
believes in me enough to reach these people. That's
Yes.
encouraging. That'll help break through that imposter syndrome.
Yes.
And then number next is know that you're further along than some.
Mhm.
Just help the people that are right behind you to help them. Then it takes the pressure off of you of trying to be some big shot, and you can
Right.
be a little shot and you can help the people move forward,
Yeah.
you know? And then grow. So make sure that you are honoring the people that are following you by growing
Mhm.
and developing and getting better, and also honoring God who gave you the gifts and the talents to do it.
That's so good. That's so good.
So,
If this helped you in any way today, please remember to comment below if you have questions for Amber. We would love to answer those and connect with you. And don't forget to leave a review too. We would love that so much if this blessed you in any way today. So, and also check out the show notes for all the links to social media accounts and amberndavis.com. Connect with Amber there, and she's got a free gift for you too.
Yeah, so go to amberndavis.com to get my free teaching and guide and checklist on how to be able to, well, the best way really to plan your week. So it's a free teaching at amberndavis.com. Thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
All Small Productivity Podcast is brought to you by myself, Amber N. Davis, using the podcasting platform Buzzsprout, which I highly recommend. Recording and editing is done by my husband's company, DADCHAVIS Productions. Thank you so much for joining us today. And remember to go all small for big productivity. We'll see you next week.